Ready to place your first NFL bet? Try betting on something simple like a player to score a touchdown. Go to the DraftKings Sportsbook app and make your bet today. I'm not really a Commanders fan, but they got the Giants and Bengals the next couple of weeks, so I am excited to see how Jaden Daniels handles those tests. Ready to do a touchdown dance of your own? New DraftKings customers bet $5 to get $250 in bonus bets instantly and get 1 month of NFL Plus Premium.
TD, Tutty, take it to the house, in for 6, whatever you call a touchdown. One thing's for sure, touchdowns matter more at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. On the ground, in the air, from the special teams or defense, we don't care how they score them. We want to bet on touchdowns. And DraftKings Sportsbook is the #1 place to bet touchdowns.
Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code Jenkins. That's code Jenkins, Jenkins, for new customers to get $250 in bonus bets when you bet just $5 and get 1 month of NFL Plus Premium. Only on DraftKings. The crown is yours.
Ready to place your first?
We're live.
Welcome to Jenkins and Jones on the Volume Podcast Network. It is Sunday, September 29th, and we've got a fun episode today. We are going to be joined by a special guest I'll bring on in just a second. We're going to talk about football and Derrick Rose and Dookie Butt of the Week and all that. As always, Jenkins and Jones, hosted by Dragonfly Jonez,
Hey, everybody,
Tyler. LaJethro Jenkins, a.k.a. Jon.
Bubbas?
I'm Guardy B, a.k.a. Mike.
Fucking Mike.
Fucking Mike.
And we're produced as always by the lovely and talented Jackson.
What's
Okay. And now to introduce a fifth person. We're very excited to be joined by the Athletic's own Jon Krawczynski, great NBA writer who's been covering the Timberwolves, and literally no one better, I think, to talk about the Cat trade or Julius Randle trade. I guess we'll find out who the trade will be named after in the future. But Jon, thank you so much for hopping on the show, especially late at night.
I appreciate it. Huge fan of your guys. Really honored to be here. So let's have some fun, man.
Honored to be on James.
All right,
Jones.
well,
It's so funny to me.
That is a funny, yeah.
I got a
Appreciate you,
beer. I got a local brewery here sponsors my podcast, and I have a beer named after me, and this is the second coolest thing in my career. The beer is the first coolest thing. So I appreciate y'all having me, man.
Beer named
No,
after
it's great.
What's the name of the beer?
That's sick.
What's the name of the beer?
It's called Crunch Time. It's like a Blue Moon beer, and like the Timberwolves mascot is Crunch, and so it's called Crunch Time, and yeah, it's good stuff.
Dude,
It's got my name. Yeah, it's got my name on the can and everything. So it's great.
Oh, that's crazy.
I kind of want to just talk to you about
Let's
that
go.
for 10 minutes, but we had we had the big surprising news. Cat traded to the Knicks, Julius Randle coming to the Timberwolves. How surprised were you by this, and what's kind of just your top line thoughts as you've been processing this the last
Yeah, I
couple
mean,
days?
first of all, like totally shocked. I have known and have heard for years now, really since Leon Rose took over the Knicks, that hey, the Knicks are going to come and get Cat. The Knicks are going to come and get Cat, and it happened. That conversation kind of happened at least once a year, twice a year for the last several, and so when we started to hear my coworker Sham Shrani and I started to hear some kind of whispers about it picking up again this week, it was like, all right, yeah, sure. Like, here we go again with another, round of talks and nothing's going to happen. And then Friday night, it pops and we get it out there. But when we were actually sending the tweets to really, kind of break this thing open, I shook my head and I was like, damn, I can't believe this really did happen, 3 days before training camp, coming off of a Western Conference Finals run, all of those things. So it was a shock to me, talking to people and players within the organization. It was a shock to them as well. But I just think that the Wolves finally got the Knicks to offer something that they really, really liked. And so they pulled the trigger on it. But yeah, when I first heard that this was actually going down, it blew my mind for sure.
So you being in the know with the Timberwolves, there were whispers of how they were trying to move Cat, because speaking for me, it blindsided me to the point where it was such a favorable situation for Cat to go to New York that I was like, I thought Cat forced his way out. Mm-hmm. And then I saw the tweet with the ... I was like, oh, Cat didn't force his way out. Like, Cat was blindsided just like we were. Mm-hmm. So you're saying, as an insider, there were always these whispers about how they were trying to move Cat before the season started.
No, I would say that there were whispers that the Knicks wanted to go get him, like, and were trying to trade for him. But
Okay.
a lot of our intelligence on it and everything that the Timberwolves had said publicly all summer long was that, hey, we just made the second Western Conference Finals in the franchise history. We're going to run this thing back. Like, we want, we like these guys. We think they can all learn from that experience of being deep in the playoffs and going, and they have a good chemistry. So we're going to go and we're going to make it happen. Now, what I will say is this thing always had a ticking time bomb element to it because of Cat's contract. It's an enormous deal. 4 years, 220 million. Ant makes max money. Rudy's making max money right now. Nas is getting paid. Jaden McDaniel's getting paid. They have a lot of guys that are making money. So there was always a feeling that eventually something would have to happen. But most everyone that I was talking to and my internal expectations were they'd start the season. If things went south, in the middle of it, maybe they could trade Cat by the deadline, or certainly next summer if they didn't, go to the finals and give them reason to keep it together. So there was kind of always this feeling that eventually something would happen, but no one expected it to happen this early.
Do you think the Timberwolves got better with this? Because I feel like, I know that you said they got what they wanted, but I don't see necessarily how this works.
Yeah, it's a good question, and I'm still trying to wrap my head around that part of it. I think that what I've settled on so far with my right to change my mind is that I think the Towns version of the Timberwolves had the highest ceiling. So if everything went perfectly, if everyone stayed healthy, everything came together, I think that team has a little higher ceiling than what this new iteration has. But I do think that two things about it. This team that they have now is deeper than that team and a little bit more equipped to withstand an injury, to withstand, the things that happen in an 82 game season and still be good and be in the playoffs and have a chance to go on a run depending on matchups. The other thing that really helps the team right now is when you move off of that big salary, it gives them so much more financial flexibility over the next couple of years to really sign guys, trade for guys that can keep Ant in a competitive environment, not just for like the next year or two, but for 5, 6, 7, 8 years going forward. When they were spending like they were with Cat's contract on it, the new collective bargaining agreement, it prevents trades that you can make. Right. It prevents guys that you can, free agent signings, and it makes it so much harder to keep turning your roster over just enough to get where you want it to go. So they're in better shape long term from a roster construction standpoint that way. But just for today, I think that that Towns team is probably just a little bit better than what they have right now.
But I think you hit it on the head, and my read on it, which I think I've seen you say the same thing, is it feels to me like they're doubling down on Ant. Right. I mean, and I felt the same way last year when they made the trade. And you go, I had a lot of friends who were like, that's not going to win them a championship. Why would they do that? I said, well, you can see what the variable they think is going to be different this year is clearly they think Anthony Edwards is going to take a big jump. And it feels like it's the same thing now that, like you said, this is a move that allows them to be flexible around a guy they plan on having be their guy for 5 to 10 to 15 years, whatever it is. Right. That being said, the fit of Randle with Ant and particularly with Gobert, I think is going to be really interesting. What's your read on how that?
Yeah, I think that is the sort of biggest challenge that Chris Finch, the head coach, has is figuring out the right way to incorporate Randle, because I know that they love DiVincenzo. They think that he is going to be seamless. He's going to come right in. He's going to hit threes. He's going to defend and do what he does, and that's going to work out really well for them. But Randle is not the same kind of shooter that Cat is, and so there's going to be maybe anticipating some floor spacing issues with Gobert. How often can they keep Randle and Gobert out there together? Because they have this other dude, Naz Reid, who can flat out ball and shoot it and do all those things from the 4. And he and Rudy were the best two-man combination net rating wise on the team last year is when those two were on the floor. And so he's proven that he can play with Rudy. Julius Randle is going to have to come in and kind of like prove it a little bit. I'm not saying he can't. I'm not saying he won't, but the fit is different, certainly, than either Cat or Naz Reid. And so there's going to have to be some acclimating, and I don't know how this is ultimately going to shake out. Are they going to try eventually to get Randle to come off the bench, which would be asking a hell of a lot, or not? But what they do with him to get him comfortable and to get him playing at a high level is going to determine whether this was a really good trade for them or whether they whether they really sacrificed a true chance at going to the NBA Finals by trading Towns.
That Nasri element is what I wanted to ask about, because obviously he's the reigning sixth man of the year, but like to your point, the him and Gobert lineups are some of the best lineups in the NBA. So today, is your prediction that Naz Reid continues to come off the bench and Julius Randle starts, or the opposite?
I think that's my guess right now. Is that Randle will start at the beginning of this, because hey, you're asking a guy to move from New York to Minnesota. And even though the Timberwolves are not the old Timberwolves where, they were just a laughing stock and they've made playoffs 3 straight years and they have Ant and they have a good thing going, you're still making a huge change here. And you need Julius Randle to be really engaged if you want this team to do anything of substance. And Julius Randle also wants to get paid. And so if you ask him to come off the bench, at least right away, that might be a tough pill for him to swallow. And so Naz Reid has already shown that he will come off the bench and he will kill off the bench. He's done it. He's gotten accolades for that. He's gotten contracts for that. And so I think initially the political thing to do probably is to put Randle and Gobert next to each other. But then if that does not work, or if they struggle, then you also have this kind of in case of emergency break glass option, and you can move Reid into that spot. But we'll see. They may come out and say, actually, we're just going to play with a bunch of different lineups and go with the best one and see what happens and just test it out. But my initial guess would be Randle in the starting lineup and Naz continuing to come off the bench.
How do you see Randle and Ant gelling? Because looking at this trade through the lens of this is Ant's teams now, it for sure feels like, getting Cat out of there, bringing Randle in, since the message that, okay, we're bringing in someone who did not have the offensive load that Cat has. So that's getting put on you now, Ant. But I feel like even though that might be the case, I think Randle gets in his way a lot more than Cat would, right? Like, Randle's a guy who's a bully ball guy who does a lot of his work around the basketball. Cat was a guy who you had to respect everywhere he was on the court, could shoot the three, could shoot the midi, all that good stuff. So how do you feel about how they're going to gel? Like, do you think there's going to be some growing pains there?
Yeah, I think there'll probably be growing pains and just getting used to each other. I do think that, your point about, Cat being able to space the floor for Ant and giving him driving lanes is big. And you remember he's going to, Gobert's going to be out there too. So like that, is going to, how they utilize Randle is going to be really interesting, because Randle shoots it well from the corners. So maybe they can get him over there and kind of change things up that way. The other thing that is going to be interesting to see how they work together is that Randle loves to dribble the ball, man. He takes it, he takes his time with that thing, goes one-on-one, wants to break you down. And Ant likes to do that as well. And one thing that Chris Finch has said over and over again is that usually when the Wolves offense struggled is the ball gets sticky. He says, ISO, too much ISO. And both of these dudes like to ISO. And so they're going to have to figure out a way to keep that ball moving when they're both on the court. And so that's a challenge. Yeah, that's going to be a real acclimation process to kind of figure out. And maybe it becomes you stagger Ant and Randle's minutes a little more, and Randle's with the second unit. Even if he starts, you pull him a little early, throw him with the second unit, and let him be the focal point of a second unit bench mob kind of a thing, and get his numbers that way. That's a possibility. So the one thing that may smooth that part of it out is, I think in New York, it was a little difficult with Brunson, because Brunson likes to do that stuff as well. And Randle was the man before Brunson got there, and then Brunson became the man, and kind of passing that baton is delicate. So Randall's coming here. Everyone knows this is Ant's team. Like, you're coming in, you are the number 2 guy or number 3 or however you slot in. But the number 1 guy is number 5, the guy who came off the Olympics, who got us to the Western Conference Finals. And so the pecking order is established. And so I could see a scenario where Randall's like, dude, I know this is your team. I need to get paid, so let's work together and figure a way out. But the power dynamic is definitely tilted more than it was in New York, when that was kind of a transition happening, kind of similar to Ant and Cat.
But I seen that with Ant and Cat, where Cat was willing to pass the baton.
Yes.
He was fine being the second best, or the second, player on the team, and letting Ant kind of take over and be the leader. It seemed like, was there not an option where he could have stayed and they could have maybe shopped somebody else and maybe Gobert? I don't know. You know what I'm saying? Where they could have played together, because it seemed like he liked that role. And, there wasn't that, vying for, the top spot like there would have been in New York.
Yeah, it's a good point. And when I kind of had started to think about things, because when you look at the way their cap sheet was structured, you're like, somebody's got to have to go on this. And if it is, I always said to myself before the trade, I'm like, if you're going to trade Cat, the first thing that you're going to want to say is, I want a big man who can shoot the 3 and space the floor. And that's exactly what Cat is. And so they do move him. Could he have stayed? He could have, but I think that what they run into is, if you make the decision, we're going to trade Rudy Gobert, he's not getting the same return with his advanced age, with his contract, with all of that stuff that Cat is. And so it was easier to move Cat that way. Also, moving Cat from a financial standpoint, he had 4 more years left on his deal. And so you're clearing a lot more out by moving him than Rudy, who has 2 more years. So you could have tried to do it and then kept Towns, but I think what they ultimately came to the decision of is, if you move Rudy, you're not getting the same kind of quality talent back, because they still want to remain competitive. They still want to stay in this thing. They don't want to take a big step back. And so the goal was to keep having guys around Ant that you can still theoretically say, yeah, we can still make a deep run. And talking to people in the organization the last couple of days, they kind of push back on the idea that, no, the Timberwolves are worse now that they traded Karl-Anthony Towns. They believe that these pieces will really help them, and that they're actually going to be really competitive and be right in the mix for the Western Conference, top 4 seeds and going deep.
I think certainly if you look at what the new CBA has done, adding depth and flexibility would be sort of the top 2 priorities for everyone. So I think there's a lot to be said about giving up, like you said, maybe that higher ceiling for being able to achieve both of those goals. I want to ask you about, we talked a little bit before we started recording, just the personal side of it. You've got to know Cat. I know, John spent a day with him and talked about what just a really good dude he was. We've certainly made the same type of jokes about Cat that a lot of other podcasts and stuff have, but this stuff is hard. Like we were talking before we recorded, like he was 19 when he got to Minnesota, and he's heard, I'm sure, all the same rumors, but the same way that you and Shams have thought, I'm sure it's been like, well, I've heard those rumors 8 times before, I'm still here, this is where I'm at, I'm dug in. How hard do you think this has been for him? I don't know if you've got reporting on that or whatever, but how big of a shock is this for him, and how hard is it for a guy who spent a third of his life somewhere to, oh, sorry, you're the victim of a need for depth and flexibility, and
fall into the business side of it is crazy. I can tell you that he was completely shocked by it. He has been publicly stating for years that he wanted to stay in Minnesota, that he wanted to be here. He never asked for a trade. He really got along well with Ant, with Rudy, with everyone here. And so he wanted to ride this thing out. He wanted to see how far they could take it. And so I think that leaving is going to hurt him, like personally. Like he didn't want to go. Now he's from New Jersey. He grew up watching the Knicks. His dad's a huge Knicks fan. So once he gets there and gets acclimated and gets loved up there and stuff, I think he'll be fine and he'll settle in. But I think the initial few days of this have been really hard on him. Let's, just look at what he went through. He came here as a 19-year-old, as the number 1 overall pick. Before he started his first game in the NBA, the president of basketball operations who drafted him died of lymphoma, like got sick, got cancer, died. Later on, his mom catches COVID, dies. In a much smaller scale, in his first 7 seasons, the Timberwolves had 7 general managers and 5 head coaches. He went through the Jimmy Butler stuff, and he came out on the other side of all of that to get to a place where the Wolves are a regular playoff team. They're going deep. He's got a team around him that he feels good about. And now he's going. And it's a hard, cruel thing. And he is, people do make fun of him, and some of it he brings on himself. There's no question about some of the stuff that he invites, and some of he makes himself an easy target. But he is a good-hearted person in the end. And so he wants to be a part of a family. He wants to get along with everyone. And so I do think trading him, I think it stings him for sure. And that's probably going to take a little time to get over.
Yeah. I mean, we all understand the business aspect of it here about how they had to cut ties with him because of that whole apron, because of the new CBA and all that. We understand it, but it's still so senseless to me, dude. Like, you got a number 1 pick, a guy who by all means probably wanted to be a lifer, an all NBA or an all-star, the second best player on your team. And you have to, cut ties with him to be because of the cap situation. Like, it's just,
well, we hate that CBA.
CJ McCollum, you will pay for your crimes, buddy.
The Timberwolves have to get rid of a homegrown 9-year superstar. Like, that's what
this is low key, guys. This is low key. The owners have never been able to get a salary cap, and they finally got one. Like this, let's just say it 100%. Simple and plain. And the Warriors should never have had to say goodbye to Klay Thompson ever. Like, never. You should not have to do that. The Boston Celtics are for sale because they're too expensive after a championship. And this is what the owners wanted. They wanted to put restrictions in place that are so draconian and so prohibitive that it literally forces your hand to move and keep your costs down. And, there were times when Joe Lacob could pay $1 billion in luxury tax, but now you can't even do that because then you can't make trades. You can't do this and you can't do that. And so, and literally the owners can say, well, it's not my fault. It's the CBA, but they are the ones that constructed the CBA. And so like, I'm not going to listen to a whole lot of ownership like hand-wringing about, oh, it's so hard. I have to say goodbye to Towns or Klay or whoever. No, you brought this on. This is what you wanted. And this is the environment that you've created that basically a team can hold on to like 1 star, maybe 2 stars for longer than 4 or 5 years. And the rest of it is just going to be turnover after turnover. So that was what this was designed to do.
Well, the average team valuation is only like $2.5 billion.
Totally.
You know what I mean? So like, obviously,
feel bad for him, man. Play the violins. Let's go.
Yeah, it's just, the new CBA, it is just a poignant reminder that the vast majority of owners are in this shit to make a profit, not to win championships.
1,000%.
That's
it.
Yeah, because it's retribution after they saw how Golden State had no problems paying, to roll out a dynasty that for my money is the best basketball team we've ever seen. And then you get these owners and who just like I said, I will always blame the players union here too, because I do not know how they agreed to so many of these conditions, bro. But
like you said, it's your boy CJ McCollum.
Was there a lawyer involved? Like, what I'm saying? It couldn't have been just CJ saying yes. Like what?
Yeah,
what
they had legal counsel involved. Absolutely. Yep, they had all of that. But
but they're not getting enough public. Like, if the headlines everywhere were NBA PA gets tricked into allowing the first hard cap in league history, that would have elicited the appropriate response. I think I do feel like it's been a little tucked under the radar, where we're just all shocked at all of these rippling moves. Like you said, oh, wow, Klay's not in Golden State. Oh, the Celtics just won a championship. They're up for sale. But like, it all comes out of the same
it does. But I do think that the problem with all professional sports collective bargaining in recent history is like, you really have to be willing to go all the way to the mattresses if you're going to get in the fight with these owners and do it. And you have to be totally collectively as a group saying we are standing our ground. And it's hard to get 400 players to do that, especially the ones that haven't made a shit ton of money yet, right? Like, and they just like, and if they all dug in and they really did it, especially now because these owners are making so much money, it would be prohibitive for them to shut the league down for any stretch of time. They might be able to enact something that was more favorable to the players, but the players have a hard time of really digging in because they can't afford to be in these long, protracted, work stoppages, whereas the owners absolutely can do that, and that's been the problem.
Yeah. Well,
yeah.
Brave New World. John. Oh, go ahead. John.
I was just wondering how you feel about Cat in New York, how it fit there. You know what I'm saying? It's a particular environment. If you're having like a little slump, like he started off the season last season kind of rough and then caught fire to make up for it, right? You know what I mean? But it's a friendlier environment where they're gonna give you those opportunities. In New York, you have like a 2-week stretch where you're stinking up to start the season. It's gonna feel a particular way. You have to have a particular disposition to deal with that. I'm wondering what do you think about? I mean, as far as skills, I think Cat can fit most anywhere. But as at disposition, in the location, how do you feel about?
And also the Tibbs angle. I know people are asking about that as well. So just connected to that as well.
Yes. So I mean, starting off with the Tibbs angle, like obviously Tibbs coached in Minnesota. They by the end of it, they were not speaking to each other. Karl really did not respect how Tibbs handled the Jimmy Butler situation. Tibbs really got frustrated with Karl for, shortcomings that he saw in Karl as a player, and it was bad. It was awful. Now, in the years that have gone by, they have had conversations. I think they've repaired the relationship. We'll see what happens, though. It's easy, you break up with someone and you're not around them every day, and then you start to think about only the good things that used to have with her and not the bad things. And it's, easy to think about, she wasn't so bad after all. And then you say, oh, let's try it again and move back in together and see how that works. And a lot of times
Cat's forgotten that Tibbs leaves the towels up.
100%. Yep, absolutely. And Tibbs has forgotten that Cat doesn't put the recycling in where he needs to and just throws it in the regular garbage, And so, so like we'll see what happens when they're living together again. I want to see that. They are diametrically opposed personalities. They both are motivated to win. So maybe, and they both have, maybe they've matured, but both of them are very stubborn. Like they don't change, what they're doing or their approaches for anything. So it'll just be interesting to see how that goes. But in terms of the New York, overall, it's going to be a huge adjustment for Cat. Like, everything that the New York media, fans, and stuff experience about Cat, good and bad, is going to be their first experience of it. So here in Minnesota, I was with him from the first day he got here till the last day. And some of the, kind of the goofy things that he would say, or some of the stuff that would get him like in the firing line around nationally, I looked at it as like, that's just Cat, man. Like it doesn't bother me. Like I know what this dude is, and it's not a big deal. And so it wasn't a big deal locally, really. Like he got some heat from fans for not winning enough games, or like for a playoff shortcoming, or for something silly he said, but like it really wasn't a big deal. In New York, when they first see that stuff, that's going to be that, they're going to push back on it, and he's going to face a different level of questioning and scrutiny, I think, than he is used to. And so I think it is kind of important that he starts the season playing well, and that they win some games and just kind of get going and get off to a fast start, so that they can build a little credibility. And then if a slump comes for him in January and he's already averaging 24 and 10, he can say, don't worry about it. You see what I do. But if he does, to your point, John, about like starting off slow and is shooting 30% from three and struggling, and those numbers are down, that's where he's going to have to handle, I think, an intensity that he's not used to, and it'll be an adjustment for sure.
Well, Jon, thank you so much for staying up late with us. We really appreciate it. Everyone, if you don't already follow Jon, which I'm sure you do, obviously you can find him at The Athletic, and he's one of the rats on the ship at Twitter that is going down alongside of us. So, Jon, thanks for hopping
hanging on for
We
dear
appreciate
life. Thanks for having me, guys. Huge fan.
Appreciate you, man.
When we can, man. Thanks.
Thank you so much. That was really dope, man.
Oh, that was
really
great.
dope,
Yeah, man. Shout out to Jon, man. Should have been on this motherfucker.
Yeah, for real. Well, so he hopped on and I was like, apologies for my ignorance. I also have a last name that's hard to pronounce, but how do I? And he was like, it's just like the actor. And I was like, how many times have you said that? And he's like,
There's an actor named Krawczynski.
Jon Krawczynski is Jim from The Office.
Oh, okay. Name that white.
Name that white.
A spontaneous and organic name that white on the Sunday night record. I love that. Okay, let's jump into football. Tyler has an idea for a new segment that I like, which is we all saw the incredible go-ahead touchdown in the Alabama-Georgia game. And Tyler made the point that if that play, which I would let him describe, it was unbelievable. If that had happened to him while playing NCAA college football, the video game, it would have elicited the biggest this game cheating of all time. So our new segment, courtesy of Tyler, when we see the game cheating play, we've got to call it out. And clearly the game was cheating on that play.
And that turned out to be the game-winning touchdown too. Like that is a big part of how it fits under the category of the game cheating. But it was just a remark.
Just to describe the play and the spin move.
Yeah, it was just a remarkable play where Ryan Williams, 17-year-old freshman, comes down the sideline, catches it, does a spin move off one leg, like a fucking ballerina, like pirouettes out of one tackle, off of a one leg spin move, cuts underneath, there's two DBs closing in on him. He makes them collide with each other, and he goes in and scores the eventual game-winning touchdown. And bro, like I said, if that shit would have happened during one of our PS5 games, we'd have said that motherfucking game was cheating. It was just a phenomenal play. I mean, and the thing about it is, so many times in amateur football, in high school football, and college football, the matchups are won by the guy who's just more NFL ready, right? Like that's usually what it just flat out comes down to. And for a 17-year-old freshman to just go out there and just completely outclass, the number one team's DBs like that, bro. That kid is different, man. And then he went in the end zone and hit the dirty bird. I was like, who is this kid? Who is this kid hitting a celebration that is 12 years older than him just somehow? You know what I mean? Like, bro, where did you come from? And he has to kill everybody face tape, which is from the program. I'm like, who are this kid's OGs? Because he is getting raised correctly.
They're doing a good job.
Yeah.
What was crazy to me was like, it seemed like the move defied gravity. Well, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it didn't make sense how he was running full speed and then hopped back. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was so like he's running full speed, bounce back, and then spin. Like, you can't do that with the controllers. That's partly why the game will be cheating, because that's impossible to do with the controllers. You feel me? Like, that made no sense to me. But yeah, I mean, just a crazy athletic play. Was it Julio Jones that played it? Alabama, that was killing as a rookie, like going crazy. Yeah. That kind of reminds me of him, where he was like a true freshman, just balling. Like, this nigga really got it early. You know what I mean? It kind of seemed like that watching that play for sure.
All right. This is the portion of our NFL segment that I will probably just bring back every week, which is, Tyler, I'm just pleading with you to hop back on the bandwagon with your former football team and enjoy so that you can enjoy as much of this ride with Jayden Daniels as possible. Jayden Daniels today in the first quarter looked at the Arizona Cardinals and literally said, y'all not fucking with me, and proceeded to go 20. This is a rookie in his fourth game, 26 of 30 for 233 yards, a touchdown and a pick. They're 3-1 on top of the NFC East. Brother, the train hasn't even left the station yet.
They're 3-1 and they won back-to-back road games.
Yeah. Hey, bro. Hey,
how close are you?
I'm extremely close, but there's a part of me that I'm just so guarded. You know what I mean? I mean, the last time we had a
Been
phenomenal
scoring before.
the last time we had a phenomenal rookie quarterback. We all saw how that played out, with RG3. But
Oof.
don't want to wish that on that, man. I'm wishing him the absolute best. And
Jesus.
bro, I mean, I've just been really, besides Jaden being a stud, I've just really been impressed with Cliff Kingsbury with the play calling that he's been doing. I think he's one of those guys who's probably figured out, bro, I'm a coordinator, I'm not a head coach, because he's killing that shit. Out of 3 of the 4 games that the Commanders have had, right?
Commanders.
Because this is the last. I haven't talked about it since they were them. You know what I'm saying? Out of the 3 of the 4 games that the Commanders have had, they've scored 35 plus, bro. That is not normal to be as a fan of Washington football. We are a 17 point per game ass franchise, dog. You know what I mean?
Well, the other thing I would point out is that no one is scoring in the NFL this year. I mean, like offense is down, passing touchdowns are down. So to be scoring 35 points with a rookie who is like fresh out of the packaging is unbelievable. Like the Niners beat the dog shit out of the Patriots today and scored 30 points. You know what I mean? Like to just be putting up 5 tubs as a fucking rookie.
And the Commanders also traded their number 2 receiver right before the season started, and their big free agent signing, Austin Eckler, was hurt and missed today's game. They're doing it with not a lot other than Jaden Daniels.
Yeah. They cooking, man.
And he's looking at him and saying, y'all not fucking with me.
When did he say that? I want to know when he said y'all not fucking with me. When did that happen?
It was 14-7.
Was he down or up?
They were up 14-7.
What part of the game?
He said in his 4th game ever, y'all not fucking with me.
What part of the game was the second quarter?
And they won 42-14. Okay.
He saw something in that defense. Was
I sent you the clip. He was smiling too. He was like, he wasn't talking shit. He was smiling.
He saw something, man. He saw something. He knew what time it was. That's crazy. Ooh. I would love that feeling. Can you imagine that? At his age, you shouldn't be allowed to even feel that way. It's almost dangerous to have that feeling at that age. You feel what I'm saying? Crazy.
That's like, I believe that like he could look at someone and get him pregnant. Like that's that, like you know what I mean? Like you're just at a certain age and like vitality that's like he's operating on a different plane of existence right now that none of us will ever experience.
He believed that.
I have no idea.
He hasn't lived long enough to have, like, he believed that in a way nobody should believe it. You know what I'm saying? Because he's so young hasn't lived long enough to, like, have that awareness where, like, maybe he really thought them niggas weren't fucking with him 0%, nigga. You know what I'm saying? And they weren't. He was right. So he's
and he scored 42
again.
points.
The next time he says it's going to be even crazier. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. When I was his age, I got out of a speeding ticket one time and I thought I was Jesus Christ. Like for a solid week. If I'd have scored 42 points on the road.
Crazy, nigga. After telling them they weren't fucking with him. You know what I mean? Come on, G.
I'll tell you what's gonna happen. Let me predict this out. When do the Commanders play the Cowboys?
That's a good question. I haven't even looked at the schedule. That's how detached I have been, bro. I told you I'm guarded as a motherfucker, dog.
Would you rather be if there's a W, would you rather be closer to cook their ass? Like what
they host they host the Browns, they visit the Ravens, they host the Panthers, they host the Bears, they travel to the Giants. They play the Cowboys Sunday, November 24th. Jaden Daniels is going to put up 42 points on the Cowboys. I'm going to send Tyler a screenshot of the Fanatic sale of me sending a Jaden Daniels jersey to his house. And on the podcast that night, he's going to be doing that, whatever the fucking Washington fight song was.
Left hand up. Who are we? Lift the band up. I like that little weak ass song. I ain't going to lie to you.
So if he was to beat their ass or to win a closer game, like what's the chances that which one are you most likely to I'm back on? Is it a close game or is he just cooked them niggas like, oh, okay, he really liked that?
Yeah. I mean, shit, RG3 cooked the shit out of Dallas on that Thanksgiving game his rookie year. So like I said, bro, I've got some work to do with
really
myself,
hurt, man.
Yeah,
we talking, bro. Talking about going back to
your
ex, you really ain't going back, nigga. Like you really drew a hard line, man. You hear me,
bro? As I was looking at the schedule, this team is. I was about to say they host the Browns. That's a win. They're going at Baltimore, probably a loss. Then they host the Panthers. They host the Bears. They go at the Giants. They're about to go 4-1 in their next 5 games and be 7-2.
I feel like they're going to lose
Baltimore
that
pull that
Panthers
game out
game
today?
because that's just Washington shit. But
Yeah, I suppose I don't want to.
But maybe it's not.
But
maybe.
Did Baltimore pull that win
But
out
the other
today?
thing is this.
Oh, Baltimore.
they dominated. They dominated.
Okay. All right.
Well, yeah, we're about to talk about that in a second. But the other thing is this. They have through 4 weeks scored 121 points. They are the number 2 scoring offense in the NFC. They're 6 points behind the Saints. Only one other team in the NFC has over 100 points. There's only the Bills have scored more points in the AFC. Like this, I don't know, brother. All right, yeah, let's talk about the Ravens. Had a get right game against the Bills, beat the shit out of the Bills. Had Josh Allen on the sideline with like 6 minutes left in the game. Rita is you. She's so burned by the Ravens this season that they're up 35-10 or whatever with 8 minutes left in the game. And she said, I need one more touchdown to relax. Why do we willingly watch this shit?
No, just to be stressed out week in and week out, dog. But yeah, you know, like I told Rita, bro, she's way too tough on them. The Ravens are one of the 2 or 3 teams that I think legitimately has a shot to win it all, bro.
Yeah. I agree. No, they got a shot for sure. John, what were your alternate Sunday activities today? What did you do instead of watching football?
We went to G. I don't think I did much of nothing.
You don't
Yeah,
even remember.
I was watching Faith Evans videos before we hopped on. You know what I mean? Like that's where I'm at with it right now, nigga. You feel me? Shit, me and Somebody went on the walk. Ice Cream Man didn't pull up. She was yelling down the street, "Ice Cream Man!" You know, where you at, Ice Cream Man? Like yelling, walking down the street. Crazy, you feel me? But yeah, I ain't do shit. Saw a weak ass sandwich on Twitter. Yeah, nothing else. Yeah.
I saw your video of somebody yelling, "Where's the ice cream?
Where you
Where's
at,
the
Mr. Ice Cream Man?" Bro, I had to record it. Like, it wasn't like I told her to say it. Like, I was like, say what you just said, baby. Because I want people to see how crazy this kid really is. You know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not like, hey, Anthony, I'm like capturing the real Somi.
Yeah.
I want people to see her. You know what I mean? I love it though.
Yeah.
I love a crazy ass fucking kid, bro. It's beautiful. Love seeing it.
She's the best. And she's not crazy. She's just got great energy.
2. I mean, if she's
Yeah.
2 and not crazy, like that's
Yeah.
scarier to me. A 2-year-old with
Right.
reason? That motherfucker, that's Pinky. That's the brain for Pinky and the Brain. Like that motherfucker gonna grow up and that's gonna be scary when they get older. You know what I mean? So
That was Vinny.
Vinny had reason at 2. You did say he was
Yes,
like
not his sister.
really abnormal.
We didn't have a terrible twos. I told y'all how we
Potty train. You just told him to
say
use-
you go to the
yeah.
bathroom in there now. He said, "Okay,
At 2.
That's not normal, dog.
That is
gotcha."
not normal.
You want it
Doesn't-
in there,
right.
not in the diaper.
Bro.
Cool.
I was
But it was a little crazy.
okay. I tweeted about this, but I saw this weak ass sandwich and made me think about this. What happened? But anyway, like we were in Whole Foods and like I smelled pee. Like we were walking, all of a sudden smelled pee. Like overtook me. I'm like, what the fuck? You know what I'm saying? So I look at something like I'm looking for like water pee to be coming down her leg or something.
Yeah.
It was
Looking for
that
the
strong.
waterfall,
I'm like, baby girl, I'm like, did you have an accident? And she looked at me like, you know what I'm saying? She like I was crazy. She's like, I'm a big girl. Like, don't ask me no dumbass shit like that. We in public, nigga. What you mean? You know what I'm saying? Like, what type of nigga I am? You feel me? And so I look around and realize it's a couple that's close to us, and it's a white couple. You know what I mean? And they just smell like pee in this motherfucker. You know what I mean? But I think what I'm gonna start doing, because they actually smell like pee. You know what I mean? And it was like, you know, so like when I said that, they looked at me like, I think I'm gonna start doing that. I think I'm gonna go by couples.
So they knew.
I mean, no, I think no, they smell, they heard me ask something like, you like, is that pee? Oh, bro, saw me when we were walking around. She comes, I forgot this part. She said, something's stinky. I forgot about that. That's the best part. I don't forget that part. But anyway, and so when she said that,
Hey, keep God in your heart and keep aluminum in your deodorant. Okay.
right. So she said that, and so they really, really realized it. But I think I'm gonna start like walking, but just for reparations. You know what I mean? Walking by couples and being like, "Some you smell that? You had an accident?" You know what I'm saying? Like to fuck with them. So they think they.
You got to get her in on the bit. You got to get her to do the slow pan
like,
to him. Though.
John's a YouTube prankster at heart. I think John's there's a whole genre of this that exists. There's 20 pages worth of videos of this concept.
They when I said that to Somi, you could kind of see them get uncomfortable, and then when Somi said something stinky. That's when the nail.
That's incredible.
That's that's what fucked him up. But yeah, man.
All right, we got to wrap up with Dookie Butt of the Week chat. We're gonna need your community Dookie Butt of the Week at the end. Tyler, you go first. Who is your Dookie Butt of the Week?
Man, it's, y'all been keeping up with this with this Aiden Ross LA shit that's been going on.
What happened?
No, not something else with this dumbass.
Yeah, well, Aiden Ross, we all know him, dickhead streamer. Where he was talking shit about how he just talking big shit about LA, and one of Kendrick's homies hopped out there and just told him to pump the brakes on the crazy talk. And Aiden Ross, while the homie who said it, Kendrick's homie is a dude named Hitta J3. If you remember the Pimp a Butterfly cover though, he's like dead set in the middle. Right. Like he's got a very distinguishable face. You'll know exactly what I'm talking about when you look at the album cover. The most distinguishable face.
Down,
right in the middle. And he just doubled down talking big shit. And then the motherfucker made a video and said, "Yeah, I'll come to LA and I'll slap whoever I want." Well, I won't slap over my security. Well, when was that ever cool, dog? He legitimately said that out his face. I won't, but security will. And then he made a motherfucking video the other day taking all that shit back because motherfuckers probably got on that line and had a very stern conversation.
No, I'll tell you exactly what happened. Security called him and said,
"Yeah,
we ain't dying for you, fuck nigga."
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? Like, not gonna happen. That's crazy, silly.
That 1-800 number is not gonna work, brother.
Yeah, so motherfuckers are putting their lives on the line because they don't like how Kendrick did Drake. Like, I will never understand that, dog. Like, I mean, listen, bro. I love Kendrick as much as the next man, but I do not give a fuck about these rappers to that extent. If Kendrick would have been the one on the receiving end of that ass whooping in the battle, I'm like, okay, Drake got him. The end. Right, I would not be out here crashing out talking about how I can take on a whole city, especially Kendrick's crew. Well, Drake's
Is that what he was?
It would be funny to fight Canada. It would be funny to fight. It would be funny to start a beef with Canada. I will say that, but I agree with you.
Was that where it stemmed from?
Yeah, basically.
Oh God.
All right, John, who's your Dookie Butt of the Week other than that white couple at Whole Foods?
Reminded me of that white couple, which is the person that posted a sandwich with just a block of cheese and onions. Did you see that shit?
I saw you post about it.
I saw the sandwich. Where was that motherfucker from? Because that looks like some weird ass Midwest shit. Like
no, that's not no.
It looks like London or something to me.
Yeah, he was in
London?
UK. He was like Leicester or whatever. So it's
Leicester.
Midwest be eating some weird shit like is it Wisconsin or whatever? They just eat straight up raw ground beef.
Oh, you're talking about white people? Okay,
yeah.
I mean, okay, I'd be on some other shit, nigga. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Okay, I have a question.
I'll be forgetting they out there, dog.
In the upper Midwest, what are cheese curds? I know white people in Minnesota love cheese curds. What are cheese curds?
Right, I think.
Is it dry? Is it like cheese? Is it like a cheese ball, like the chips, like the chip? Like
not like the Utz cheese ball. It's like just.
I feel like cheese curds are like pre-cheese almost. They're like in the cheese making process. It's like before it becomes like the it's like before it becomes the final like perfect ball of mozzarella or whatever. It's like the
brother. I have Google image search cheese curds and I am not pleased with what I am seeing.
It's like the
it's
definition
like if chicken nuggets were cheese.
Says moist pieces of curdled milk. Like it's like cheese that is like not fully done turning into cheese.
Cheese curd is when you leave your milk in the refrigerator too long, nigga. You know what I'm saying? They eat the chunks that's in the refrigerator. That's what they eating.
That is what cheese.
I know,
also
but
is.
like it gets to a point where it's cheese. It's the in between. You know what I'm saying? It's the in between.
Right.
It hasn't fully matured yet. You know what I mean?
Ryan in the chat
Wisconsin chat members,
said
defend
cheese curds are to
yourself.
mozzarella sticks as chicken nuggets are to chicken strips. They're like
That's exactly
the
what it looks
pre-version,
like.
you know? Yeah.
But chicken.
The weird, like not right version.
I will admit this: I've never had them, and there are very few cheese products that I do not love.
Oh.
So I'm sure that if I were at an actual restaurant, someone put a plate of them in front of me, I'm sure that they're delicious. But I can't. Looking at the pictures of them on the internet and hearing what Jackson just said about moist curdled milk, I can't.
Tyler,
It's
you love
just-
cheese? Are you a cheese lover?
I am. I told you my one weird thing is I just can't do. Am I a cheese lover? My one weird thing is I can't
big
do
cheese
cold
guy?
cheese though, bro. Like that shit got to be melty. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
Really?
Like if I get a sub, I pass on the cheese, bro. Yeah.
Really?
That's the one thing.
So you don't fuck with string cheese at
No.
all?
No, nigga,
Oh,
no.
when this came up, the string cheese shit.
Me and Tyler had first had
That's
string
right.
cheese for the first time.
String cheese
Like,
hits
I remember
so
that
hard,
at
dude.
Wave.
Wave,
right?
yeah. But I
I know. I remember that. We did a whole
Yeah.
segment about that. Thing.
Yeah.
You never had
String
string
cheese
cheese.
is amazing.
I
I
forgot
still eat
what's
string
crazy.
cheese.
Forgot that.
Somi, we bought string cheese for Somi, but I had never had it. You know what I'm saying? Like I thought it was like, you know, food for babies. I thought it was baby food. You know what I mean? I think
I mean,
Yeah,
it
okay,
is.
okay.
Yeah.
Bro, we grew up in
I mean, that's the only reason I still eat string cheese is because I get it for the
Okay.
kids, and then if it's there, it's like
bro,
By the way,
we grew up in an era there was a whole big string cheese agenda to try to get kids to think that shit was a cool snack. With
that's
with
fact.
commercials with kids skateboarding and eating string cheese and shit. Like
yes.
do y'all
Never-
remember them little hot
Hey,
dogs?
the 90s were nuts,
Vienna's?
bro.
Vienna sausage, yeah.
Them shits were fucking bro. I don't know if y'all fuck.
Wait,
with
are
them.
you pro or against?
Hate them.
Oh, you're-
I
okay.
hate
Oh,
them.
absolutely not.
I remember like kids, like the little white kids at the school would be eating them and shit. I'm thinking like they eating them like I thought the way they was dogging them, I thought them shits was crazy, right? So I'm like, shit, let me try one of them motherfuckers, bro.
Just salt.
Yes,
It just tastes like salt.
An abomination. You know what I mean? Barely could you shouldn't even be able to call that food. It was so nasty, bro. Bro, like yeah, that string cheese, man. String cheese ain't bad. I was pretty impressed by string cheese. It wasn't bad. You know what I mean?
I mean, it's
It's just
mozzarella, bro. It's
mozzarella.
hard
Yeah,
to fuck
yeah,
up
yeah,
just
yeah.
mozzarella. Tyler mentioned the string cheese commercials. Like, we just grew up at such a specific time in the history of humanity, and it seemed normal to us because it's what we grew up with, obviously. But like, we were driving back we took the kids to Disneyland on Saturday night for Halloween stuff, so we were there late. We were driving back. Char and I are like delirious. It was a long day. It's been a long week. She's got all this health stuff going on and everything. And we just, out of nowhere, just started singing like 90s commercial jingles.
God, y'all
together.
are great.
Oh, that sounds
For
like
like
a
20
fucking
minutes.
blast, bro.
Great.
It was
Oh.
great. But we thought the kids were asleep, and Maya goes from the back seat, "Why are you singing commercial songs?"
Great.
And
question,
Char
too,
literally
though.
said, "Because that was our culture. Because this is
is
what
all
we
we
grew up
had."
on." She literally said, "Because we didn't have phones. This is what we had when we were your
You
age."
know how? Okay. Could y'all go outside when your people was out? Like during the summers, when your people was at work? Could you go outside?
Yeah, I couldn't leave a certain.
I couldn't go
area.
outside like until like middle school, like in elementary school.
Oh, that's what I
Okay,
meant.
yeah,
Middle school.
elementary school. So me
Yeah.
and Joy would be at home, and they would have like the preview station, right? And there was like the previews or whatever. And on top, it would be 2 commercials running, whatever, right? A game we played was we had to be the first to decide what the commercial was. This is a commercial for something like we were like, nigga,
Yep,
can you know how bored?
that's your childhood. That's a beloved childhood
how-
memory with your
you feel
sister.
me?
Is who knew Xerox commercials first?
The preview channel just because during the middle of the day it was bullshit. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it was all like, you know, like Batman
After Price is Right, there was
Kapow.
just straight up soap operas, dog.
soap operas. It was nasty.
Yeah, like that 12 to 3 block, bro. Before the
12 to
cartoons
3
and shit
was
came on.
horrible.
It
And
was
you,
hell.
I'd be happy to watch the onomatopoeia version of Batman and that was like black and white. You know what I'm saying? We were just happy to see.
We watched so much of that.
Yeah, like
shit.
because it was
Yes.
finally something that was watchable. But from like 12 to 2:30,
Right.
12 to 3, it was just horrible. But yo, damn, G. Can you imagine having YouTube back there? Nigga. No, I'm glad we didn't have it. I'm glad we
We
didn't.
would be just
I'm
as
glad we
fucked
didn't,
up as yeah.
Jesus.
All right, my Dookie butt of the week is ESPN for laying off Zach Lowe.
Messed up.
Bro.
It's a rough
Messed
time,
up.
brother.
That's
It is just a
nasty.
rough time right now. We don't need to talk too much about it, but I just like, that's wild. Is wild.
How is this? Okay. Whatever way that you are deciding to do business, how is it sustainable when part of that, this part of the direction you're going is getting rid of the best person at what he does? Like, it doesn't seem like that is the best way to do business when the best in the business have no room there anymore. And I think that's where a lot of places are, like, as far as like, they want athletes are always a big, thing. And I get that, but it's like a lot of engagement farmer hot take motherfuckers that they get retweets on Twitter, but are they good or as good as Zach Lowe? No, like, it's just so weird that
I actually think, as bad as Twitter is, if things were running through Twitter, I don't think there's any way Zach Lowe loses his job. I think the push towards athletes is in part because of the fragmentation of social media distribution channels that, like, TikTok, IG Reels, and YouTube Shorts, with all due respect, have led. Is that, like, Deebo Samuel, or like,
with all
like
due
any
respect,
athlete saying something,
Keep going, Mike.
but like any athlete saying something is going to go further on TikTok than a really well thought out, intelligent Zach Lowe person delivering a longer, more thoughtful, interesting, intellectually weighty answer. And it bothers me that collectively we all know this is true.
Yeah.
But no one, because the distribution channels are fixed in the way they are, there's nothing anyone can do about it. And we have no mechanism through which to vote. Do you know what I mean? We can't say to ESPN, no, we would prefer that you employ people who make good content. I don't feel we should have to voice that feeling, but we do, because like people are moving counter to that. And I don't know what to do about it, but that's why they're my Dookie Butt of the Week, because it fucking sucks.
Indeed.
Jackson, your Dookie Butt of the Week.
Before I get to my Dookie Butt of the Week, the chat just was begging me to say that they are defending cheese curds. They said cheese curds are good, and that's all they wanted me to say that. There's a guy who's, I swear to God, his YouTube like name in the chat is White Mike, and White Mike, the homie White Mike pulled up. He was defending cheese curds. Elijah said at Jackson, make sure
ask
you
White
know
Mike,
that.
Hold on, White Mike. Ask White Mike where he's
White
from.
Mike, tell us where you're from. But Elijah said, make sure the guys know that Whiter Mike is defending cheese curds, because I think they know that you are White Mike. So, but my Dookie Butt of the Week, and then mine's like half serious, but then I'll get to the chats after, which is not at all. It's half serious. My Dookie Butt of the Week is potentially maybe us at the Jenkins and Jones podcast. I'm the one, I like stock YouTube comments because I'm the producer and I'm annoying and I hate myself. And we had just a couple of people basically be like, not giving us some negative feedback about our conversation about the WNBA last week for a couple of reasons. One, like basically saying like this racism stuff has existed for a long time, both in the WNBA and for multiple years now, directly towards Angel Reese before she got to the WNBA. Why are you guys just talking about it now, right? Because of Caitlin Clark, you guys are making it about Caitlin Clark. There's a couple things I want to say about that. One, we are not just talking about it now. We talked about Angel Reese. We've talked about Angel Reese many, many times before. And two, you are absolutely right. Everyone who believes that is absolutely true, that racism has existed in the WNBA long before Caitlin Clark got there. It was an issue long before Caitlin Clark got there. And part of the reason we are talking about it is because of the increased eyeballs in the WNBA. Not because we are immune to thought it hadn't existed before, but because of the increased eyeballs and the increased attention.
Well, the reason I put it on the list is the league issued a statement about it, which is a
absolutely
thing that's happening.
And the second thing that people were saying is like, of course, you guys are just talking about this clickbaity stuff, and what about the actual games? And I want to say that we are also watching the games. There was an amazing game today against game one of Aces versus Liberty finals rematch that Stewie finally had a breakthrough game against the Aces.
She was going crazy.
He was going crazy. And she's had a tough time
man.
in that matchup before, so it's great to see her succeed. But let's just be clear that we can do all of the things at once. We can we can acknowledge that the racism existed before and that it is not new to the WNBA, not new to Angel Reese. We can also watch the games. We can talk about all of the things, and it's okay. That being said, those people who are making those comments and have those strong feelings about the general discourse and sort of some of the weird picking and choosing that's happening, completely fair, completely understandable. So we are like,
yeah, I mean, I'd actually like to speak about that for a second. Like, it just is the case, and I think we've discussed this on the show before, but like, I watch and enjoy the WNBA, but it's like the WNBA and soccer, like the EPL, are the two things that I watch and I just don't really discuss them publicly. The NFL was that way for a couple of years for me. It was like, I just enjoyed watching it and not having any public discourse about it. I covered the Sparks for 2 years, thoroughly enjoyed covering the Sparks in the WNBA. Great fans, but it's very much an acknowledged fact among the media that yes, there is like a lot of hugely supportive, wonderful fans of the WNBA. But as we discuss on the show, like the increase in popularity with anything in America at this point feels like it brings the necessarily toxic discourse of the way that all discourse currently happens, which really specifically was what I thought would be interesting.
I think the whole racism has always existed in sports is just very reductive when discussing this, because it is a very it's a very unique agenda that we've seen take place recently in the WNBA, where folks where a lot of right-wing fucking nuts have hijacked Caitlin Clark to get off, use her as a proxy to get off how they feel about Black women and Black people in particular. Like, so just saying, that has always existed. It is something very different than Russ just, getting hit with a slur on a random Utah game than DeJounte receiving that vile email because the Sun eliminated the Fever, right? Like, it is very targeted and it's very unique. It's something that we have never in my life have I seen a player weaponized this way in the name of racism. So saying that racism has always existed in sports, yeah, that's true, but it's very reductive because it does not, examine this situation in its full scope.
Completely.
Yeah, and I'll be honest with you. I'm usually I put the topic list together and everything. I don't know. We don't want to talk about that every week. So like, I'm with you on like talk more about the games for sure. Like 100%. And I think that's a super fair criticism. But so what Tyler was just saying, this is something that is new, and this specific what's happening right now is new and malignant in my opinion. And it's a difficult thing to figure out how to talk about it without feeding into what the people who are leading these campaigns want, which is they want this to become the narrative. And are we participating in that the one time we do talk about it? Maybe we are.
Right.
I'm not saying that we're not, or that we're immune to criticism on that. I do think a professional sports league in America releasing a statement saying we reject the fact that a portion of our new fans are racist that to me is something that I don't recall.
Have we
seeing.
ever seen that ever?
Never.
Like, has it? Yeah.
I mean, there's like, I think that the parallels would be like in European soccer generally, but like European soccer. But the existence of the First Amendment in America is different. Like, people can and have been arrested and prosecuted and sued for making racially derogative comments at soccer games. That will never happen in this country because of the First Amendment. So it's like, to see a league feel the need or feel pressured by their players association to take a stand like that, it's number one, it's like, obviously they should take that stand. But I do think that that's evidence that they're aware that with this new surge in fans, there are going to be bigger issues for them to grapple with. And I don't know that we've discussed many issues that sports leagues are not well equipped to deal with. The fundamental racism at the bedrock of America, I think
it's tough not to crack.
We could probably put into that category.
Yes.
Jackson, what's the community Dookie?
Very quickly, we're not going to spend any extra time on this, but the chat is dying to know your EPL team, Mike.
I'm an Everton fan.
All right, there were some predictions.
I'll give you a 30-second Everton story. My one of my best friends, JJ Fiddler, who I've been my sports writing partner in Long Beach for 17 years. We were at the newspaper together. We got laid off together. We started the 562 together. He was an Everton fan purely because of Tim Howard and Landon Donovan. And like, when he started watching soccer, which he was an early adopter, there was one sports bar, Legend Sports Bar in Long Beach, that would put the EPL games on at fucking like 6 o'clock in the morning. and let people come in and show up. So I go watch Everton games with JJ. When we went to go cover the Olympics in London, we literally had one day off where there were no events with Long Beach athletes. We went to Liverpool to Goodison Field, and he just wanted to walk around. That's how big of an Everton. He just wanted to walk around it. A security guard saw us walking around and said, "What are you guys doing?" And we said, "We're from America." He's a huge Everton fan. I'm sort of like bandwagon with him. And the guy goes, "Long way to come to just look through the gate," and just opened the gate, walked us down onto the field, walked us through the locker room, walked us past the trophy. And I told the guy, I said, "I've been like a casual fan of this team, but seeing the way that I said, this is completely alien to sports fans in America."
Right.
Like, what is happening right now? So watching the way you are, this is like a security guard. This is not like a connected person that I asked to like do us a favor. Spontaneously saw us and spent an hour with us going around, literally let him take some grass from the field, like from the very edge of the field, all this other stuff. Showed us where people pour their family members' ashes, you know, and all this other shit. And I said, the way that you treated my friend, like I'll have a loyalty to this organization for the rest of my life. It's just unbelievable. Because you can't picture the Dallas Cowboys doing some shit.
That's amazing.
Show up to the parking lot at Jerry's World and they're like, "Oh, you're a Cowboys fan?
Come on in.
From England? Come walk around the field."
That's an amazing story.
Yeah.
The chat was shocked that it was Everton, but they were also said congrats on being relegated. And then once you told that story, they all changed their minds and apologized. The chat Dookie Butt of the week, to no surprise of anyone, is the man who stuck a burrito up his butt. They asked, "What's the reaction?"
I told you we didn't need it. I said
we didn't want that either. Our whole shit is we want people making reasonably absurd sports bets and sticking to them. Nobody wanted to see that man shove a burrito up his ass. My issue wasn't him not making good on it. It was him putting out something as ridiculous as right. That was my whole issue.
See the burrito in his ass, Tyler. I kind of think you. I think we gotta run a tape. I don't know, man.
No.
I think
said
you
no.
wanted to see the
Why would I want to
burrito
see
in his
that?
anus?
No,
I don't know, Tyler.
No,
that's why I was wondering.
No,
that's what I said. I was like, I don't want to see it. You know, I don't know how things work over there. But over here, we don't want to see the burrito in the butt. You know what I'm saying?
No, I said there's an epidemic with people not making good, like shit. Eat a cup of shit, boy. He should have ate a few spoonfuls of shit for us. I stand firm on that. Burrito up your butt, boy. Like that was just an absurd proposition that shouldn't have been put on the table to begin with. That was my whole thing. Like I said, we need to be reasonably absurd with the absurd sports bets. I don't want to see a burrito up your butt, but if you bet, you know, and you don't make good on eating some dog, if you don't eat a few spoonfuls of dog shit, that I have an issue there, right? Like you got to make good on your word, but don't make a ridiculous fucking burrito up the butt type of, you know.
This dude's in a bad spot because the chat is telling us that his wife found out about this. She did not know previously and found out due to today's or yesterday's whatever post. So
can you imagine?
He's in a bad spot.
Because you can see his kitchen in the post. That I've looked at it.
Could you imagine? You know what I'm saying? Like explaining this to your wife. You know what I mean?
I not this specific thing, but I can imagine explaining to my wife a stupid thing I got into on Twitter.
For sure, yeah.
I mean, she had to make you 20 eggs in the morning.
There's a reason that Uruguay is furious at me right now. Yes, I will admit to being in a rivalry with Uruguay.
Stop.
Okay, listen, I'll wear it, John. You got me. I did think you should put a picture up of that shit. and listen, you got me. I was wrong. I didn't need to see it. I saw it and I did not need to see it, as it turned out.
You don't need to see nobody eat no doodle either, bro. I'm telling you, bro. Listen, bro. Okay. I'm by. Y'all seen Two Girls, One Cup?
No, that's
brother.
No,
they were enjoying that, right?
No.
Enjoying it makes it disgusting.
I didn't get that far. I saw one scoop of doo-doo, and bruh, turn this shit off right now. What the fuck?
I haven't seen it either. I just know the premise, but my whole thing is that they enthusiastically did.
I don't know what's going on, but I saw. I don't know what all happened.
We're on Rotten Tomatoes in 1997 right now.
I just saw some doodle get ate, and I realized I never needed to see that. I didn't need to see it in the first place. I never want to see it again. So I'm saying, as a person that's seen somebody eat some doo-doo, we don't need that either. You know what I mean?
I stand firm. I stand firm that
I stand firm.
I stand firm that there are very few funnier things than a hilarious, violent dry heave, and we'd have got a couple of those out of that.
You would have been dry heaving too. That's
a
the
fact.
thing, though.
That's a fact, and it would have been funny too when we were dry heaving.
Spike, am I the only person that's seen that? I'm the only person that was like, "Yo, this is."
I left. There's no way you left You left the room faster than me. I left very quickly.
I saw one. Never again. Bye. Never. Crazy. Anyway.
All right.
God
That's
bless
all the
him,
time
man.
we got. Thank you so much.
Send me your prayers. You the reason he did it, probably. He heard you.
That's
heard
what the chat was saying. Is Tyler's rant was
Right.
triggering this.
Right.
Tyler got the guy to put the burrito up his ass.
Tyler said we
did
need
not
a
want to see that shit,
burrito
man.
in the butt, and he did it. Now
He did
Tyler
it.
saying we don't. Come on, man. Oh, you get him in
Jackson,
trouble.
can we get his wife on the pod?
I'll do my best.
He in the hot
Okay.
seat now, bro.
I appreciate that.
You know what I mean?
That's all the time we got. Thank you so much for staying up late with us. If you're watching live on YouTube, thank you for listening. If you're listening on the pod, thanks again. A huge thank you to Jon Krawczynski for coming on and staying up late to come on. We really appreciate it. Finally, our thoughts and prayers and love to all of the victims of Hurricane Helene. I don't think we're going to have a true understanding across the country for a couple of weeks of how bad the flooding and the devastation is. But I know for a fact that we have listeners in the areas that have been affected. So we're thinking about you guys, and hopefully the podcast is able to bring you an hour of absolute nonsense that maybe is a break from what you got going on. But we're thinking about you guys. Thanks to everyone for listening, and we'll see you later this week. Bye.
Bye.